What kind of religions do you think I'm talking about? About peripheral religions. Let me give you a hint. You haven't taken notes on it yet. Luke?
It's like the outside of society.
Yeah, outside of society. So, realize that when we're talking about like the Indus River Valley civilization, when we're talking about the Jewish people, when we're talking about the Greeks and the Romans, right? Did everybody alive on the planet at this time live in one of these core civilizations? Absolutely not. There existed sort of people on the periphery. And today we're going to talk about the religious traditions of those people on the periphery and how they were influenced by these core civilizations. So remember, as we discussed, guys, always relate what we're talking about back to that key question right there. Okay? So, we're going to be talking about people on the periphery. Okay? The first example I want to give is shamanism. Shamanism. And that can be briefly defined as a belief in gods, demons, or ancestral spirits. You might have heard of about healers being called shamans. Okay, so these were people, like I said, we're talking about people that lived in civilization or sort of on the outskirts of civilization. Inside civilization or outskirts, guys? Yes. Outskirts, exactly. So this was sort of a religious practice of people who were on the periphery. Okay. So it was this spiritual idea and a belief of gods, demons, and ancestral spirits. And what kind of things do you think these gods mirrored? Like you prayed to the god of what? Connor?
Like agriculture.
Agriculture. So specifically, give me a specific example of like a god these people might have had.
Sun or rain.
Sun, rain. What else? What else? Yes.
Fertility.
Fertility. What else? GB.
The god of like seasons.
Seasons, rivers. Okay, so why would we see gods being reflected in things like nature? Why would we see them praying to gods that were associated with nature? Yes, Luke.
Because the state doesn't have as much influence, so they're closer to nature.
Okay, you're right. But remember, the counterexample to that is like the Nile River Valley civilizations and the Sumerians also prayed to gods that were associated with nature. So why do we see that that consistency, that commonality here, Luke?
Nature kind of had all control over their life.
Yes, how so, Luke? We said again, nature had all, like, pretty much their lives were dominated.
Everything their life.
Yes. So you literally lived and died by the land, right? So it makes sense that people were praying to gods that could hopefully influence that. They also thought they had demons and ancestral spirits. And ancestral spirits, what do I mean by that? And lastly, we're going to talk about ancestor veneration. All right? So essentially, ancestor veneration means sort of a reverence regarding your ancestors in a very positive light, almost respecting them and worshiping them like gods. People in these societies believed that ancestors had a continued existence. So remember, borrowing from that Hinduist belief in reincarnation. And also, they believed that ancestors would influence your fortune. So this was a way they sort of really preach respecting your elders, because after, grandpa dies, he can sort of influence the way you live, okay? And to look at this, guys, I'm going to split you up into quadrants, and I'm going to give you specific regions, and I'm going to ask you to show me how these specific regions practiced ancestor veneration, okay? So, why don't we go, let's split this quadrant right here. You guys are going to look at Africa. And I want Nate to be my captain here, meaning that everything you guys come up with needs to be in Nate's notebook. All right? So how did people in Africa practice ancestor veneration? All right? I want this group right here to look at the Mediterranean. So how did people in the Mediterranean practice ancestor veneration? And Sean, I want you to be my captain here. Everything that you guys come up with needs to be in your notebook. All right? Then, it's going to get a little tricky here, but that's okay. You guys, and then GB and Justice, okay? I want you to do East Asia. And why don't we have GB be the captain for this, okay? And then the last remaining crew right here, this front row, I want you to do the Andean areas. All right? And why don't we have Chris be the captain here? All right? So, let's plan on doing this. I'll give you guys about 8 minutes to research, and then we'll spend 7-10 minutes talking about it. Okay? I'll come around and help you.